Welcome to Create with Canva, where we find a beautiful design online and take an element or the entire thing, try to recreate it, and in so doing learn a bit more about designing with Canva and how far we can take the tool. Let's get started. So today's design is a beautiful landing page from Dribbble that I think there's a few elements in it I was really curious on how to recreate, and I think I found a way, and it kind of proves an interesting lesson on ways you can approach Canva and solutions to some of the limitations it has. Let's take a look at the design. So again, this came from Dribbble. It's a stunning landing page design. A lot of really creative, and the contrast of these colors against the beige background, and then the bold dark text on the left, a stunning design. This design comes from Victa Wille, or Victa Wille, if forgive my pronunciation. Amazing designer on Dribbble, and definitely worth a look for inspiration. He has some amazing stuff. So the link is here. I'll also link it below in the description as well to check it out. So the design in its entirety is beautiful. The one thing I was really curious about, though, was this kind of topographical line, and especially in the button here too. You'll see you have these lines as if it's a height map, a flat height map, and I was kind of curious about how that might be achieved. And it took a little doing, but I found a way that you can achieve this, and it actually kind of shows an interesting concept you can use when designing with Canva. So specifically, there was no map that existed within Canva. The ones you see here on the left side, this is the kind of final upload, and I'll show you how to get here. But searching through their elements, there was nothing that I could find. And even more true is that for this shape of the button, and even this kind of blob, let's add a new page here, and just kind of quickly I'll show you. In order to use the frame, so a frame is the element that allow us to insert an image or something within it, and then kind of crop it into a unique shape, either a square, circle, whatever we have. In this case, this blob is somewhat similar to what we want. However, you can't drag SVGs into this or other elements from Canva. It needs to be a photo. So that kind of limited what we could do. So I was kind of curious about how we might solve this. And then I found a way. So first step was to find a contour map. Over a quick Google search, it landed me here at Victa. Now, Victa has a host of free sites. You do need to attribute if you do use it for anything. So you could also consider searching for other free resources without attribution, or pay for an attribution. However you go, our purposes will be just fine to use it. But this is an SVG, which is important because once I download it, I'll be able to edit the colors inside of Canva. Right? So that's really useful. Now, the problem still persists, though, that an SVG can't be dragged into this frame. So I'm still a little bit out of sorts, especially after we've edited the color. So I want to get a topographical map into a shape like this, into a frame as far as Canva is concerned. It needs to be a photo, though. Going out online, I found the right shape but not the right color. But because I know Canva allows us to edit SVGs, a solution arises. So what we do is we create a new Canva, a new design within Canva, and we take our SVG and we bring it in. So here's the uploaded SVG. Now you notice the great thing that Canva does is it allows you to edit the colors within an SVG. So specifically we have the blues. So I can now go and take those oranges. Now actually let me show you how I got those oranges. There's a really handy tool. So there's these beautiful colors. Generally, though, I would suggest you go to a site like colorhunt.co or Color Lovers or Coolers.co, which I've talked about a lot in the past, and find your own color palette. For this example, I want to just show using these colors, and to get it, there's a really useful Chrome eyedropper extension. So go to Chrome, search eyedropper, and if you go, you'll see now in the top right, I got this little eyedropper tool. What this will allow you to do is if you have a color that you find on any website or in a photo anywhere inside of your browser, you can click on it, click on Pick Color from Web Page, and then just drag it over. And you'll see the little square changes, and it's going to take out the value that I want. So here I could choose the darker orange, click again, pick a color from the web page, and pick the lighter orange. So that's the eyedropper extension for Chrome. Allows you to choose any color inside of a web page that you're looking at. So now armed with this information, we come back to our new Canva design where we dragged in the SVG we uploaded as a free download from Victa Wille. We select it and now we'll change the colors. So the background blue, we want it to be the orange. So we'll come up to our eyedropper tool. We'll find the dark orange we had selected. Copy the hex code. Come back down into the color picker, add a new color, dark orange. Great. Now we'll choose let's come up here first and grab our light orange. That work is the lines. They're calling it salmon. Select that particular color and then paste that in. And there we have it. That's a useful topographical image. Now this final white square is what I'll be able to download, so I can really play around here with the size and scale of this and figure out exactly what's the exact line makeup that I want to find. I mean, actually, for instance, the one in the bottom corner, I kind of like that. So let's go ahead and shift this around. Don't be limited by squares. Remember that this final square is the only thing you'll see or the user would see, so you have as much freedom as you want. I just kind of like how those swooped across, so I turned it around. That's ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and download it. So download this as a PNG. So what I've done is in creating a new Canva design, and in this case I just created 1600 by 1600. You can choose any size you want. Make any edits you want, then download it. And then we'll go back to the original Canva design and upload it. So what this is going to allow us to do is then we have a PNG that we've edited with Canva externally and somewhere else that we can now play with as just an image file in our final design file. Let's go ahead and download. Come back over here. Uploads. We upload the new one that we just had. Uploading. Still uploading. And there we have it. So we had this frame, which will allow us to crop a photo in a particular shape. And we'll drag it in. Boom. And how beautiful that. Now you can see these lines are even thicker, so I do wonder if we double click into it and scale it a bit to make the lines a bit more prominent. Now this could be problematic because this is an image now. It's no longer an SVG, which means it has a certain pixel width and height. So if we're not careful, the lines are going to get blurry. So we're going to want to be a little bit cautious in how big we make it, so as to not have kind of blurry lines. Yeah, the way to fix that would actually be go back to your original design and extend it here as an SVG, because that we can scale as much as we want. Download it again, come back over. But I think for our purposes today, that'll look just fine. So there's that blob. Let's bring it over. Let's change the background color to that really nice beige that was there. That really set off the other colors. Really loved how that looked. Yeah, the two of those just fight beautifully. The designer did some amazing color work there. And let's even go ahead and let's add in the rest of the text just to kind of finish this guy off. So 3 words in kind of a dark text. Move this guy over here. Let's say try, design, learn. Left side. Now, that is a really nice font, kind of like the nice curves and everything. This one feels a little bit not as refined as that. So you'd want to kind of spend some time looking at various fonts and see where you could arrive, but you might also just already have a brand design that you can use. You know what, I don't mind this one here. Let's go with that. That seems a bit more refined. Let's go ahead and, like, this is the real benefit of copying a design in some ways, especially just as a learning tool. Again, I don't suggest you copy a design one for your own work. You're doing no favors for that. You could get called out or worse from the artist, and it's just there's an intent behind this design that maybe you're not there. But one of the benefits of being inspired by these type of work is that you can see the subtle things that they did to make their work great. And you can see the amount of space between these two lines there is much less than ours. So clearly he was trying to keep things tight by keeping those in line like that, and you can see there's a nice benefit and difference there. With a bit of tenacity, you can almost recreate anything in Canva. Put that on the left. Now how big is that font? A little bigger. I'll add some little bit of line height. Not too much though. Let's go ahead and add a button as well. So we need another frame, but with a rounded corner. Which mysteriously I'm not seeing, which is kind of a shame. I'm not seeing a square with a rounded corner. That's fairly bizarre. Kind of curious if, no, that has an actual hard frame. Same with that guy too. So it looks like we're a little bit out of luck on that. That's a shame. So we're going to go ahead and just stick with a square. Well, actually, you know, depending on, let's work on another trick actually. Looks like that's going to give us quite a bit of problems, unfortunately. So I'd like to have that kind of long shape. Even if I get a rectangle, we could try to jury rig something up. I'm not seeing options. Bizarre. So okay, let's find some sort of rectangle. Now, ideally, again, there are a couple ways you could skin it. You could go out and just create a new design with a background, have that as a shape, just accept a button with just the orange. I'm going to try a fairly insidious little trick here, because what I'm going to do is take, of all things, this iPhone mock-up, just because it really is just for the shape that I'm wanting, because I'm not seeing a long rectangle that I can put something into. Then I'm going to take my topographical. Now that outline looks terrible, but that's what I'm going to fix here. So what's useful to know is the benefit of layers and then mixing colors. What I mean by that is, because this is a flat design that we're working with, we have access to a shape. And if a shape is on top of everything else and it's the same color as the background, you can kind of cut off or crop effectively anything behind it. So let's see what that might look like. Again, ideally there's a more clever way you could do this so it's not so janky, but you know, this is kind of a fun experiment to show anyways. So what I'm going to do is, let me zoom in here so I can see a bit more what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm not really going to be able to save the corners, but I have a different trick for that. Okay, I'm going to do this 4 times, cut everything off. Like I said, that the sentence with a little bit of tenacity, you can design almost anything, is not inaccurate. So you're seeing all I'm doing is I'm pasting 4 squares of the same color as the background so that it makes whatever's behind it kind of disappear. So I'm doing that so I can get rid of the border on that, and that gives me the kind of elongated shape that I wanted. Now this gives me the opportunity to make it a little bit bigger if I wanted. So, you know, if you do that, you have to be careful because you need to readjust your items. You could, of course, now group. Oops, wrong button. Control Z. Control Z your buddy. I can now group this so that no matter what I do to it is, you know, together. So that certainly helps. Now I'm going to want to make sure that the left of the pink is aligned with that. And okay, so now we've created a faux button that has a few of those lines there. It's a little smaller perhaps. And you can adjust any of the 4 blocking ones to make an adjustment as you need. So the last thing I'll do though, I still wouldn't mind trying to get these curve. And another trick for that same, just extending what we already just did. Let's try to find a curve. And we'll just block out the corners. Perfect. So here's this one. We'll make it the same color as the background. Shrink it a whole lot. Now this is going to be a bit tricky to align. Let's work on it. Just because you're going to need it to really match up. And this can help too if you really zoom in closer and closer and closer. Because then even at your super close up range, it looks like there's a pixel off. As I said, I don't necessarily recommend. I'd want you to really think about a better way to do this than what I'm doing currently. But if anything else, I just kind of like it as a challenge to how could you possibly do it if you had to. I think there's a lot more clever solutions. There might even be more official ways within Canva that's just not coming to me at the moment. So instead, I'm just going to do it a little bit. I'm going to group these. So I just copied the 2 to make it a little bit faster. I just copied the 2, grouped them together, so now I can kind of just speed up that step a little bit. Look at that. Janky as all get out, but darn it if we didn't create a rounded button with the background there. Let's bit of a crowning achievement. Let's get the get started text. I'm going to reuse this text, I think, for the buttons. Remember, you really don't want to go more than 2 fonts, but since it's an action, it's kind of the big, bold, what I want them to do. I don't mind using the bigger text if it looks all right. Start our get started. Let's go ahead and make that white. Let's put it down to 45 and see. All right, slide it in there. Crowning achievement. Icing on the cake, however you want to call that. Oh, we're not entertained. What's the point? And last little bit, let's add the learn more beside it. We'll use again the kind of text because it's plain. Let's make sure it's aligned to the text there in the center. Be 2 trains of thought about alignment on that, whether you should align it to the baseline or the middle, and I think it really just depends on how it looks and how you'd like it to function for you. And there we have it. Not a pretty method, but a pretty design that we kind of ended up with. I think there's a lot of fun stuff you could do as far as trying to find various vector shapes online like this and get them to interweave inside of Canva, but I think that would very much be for a different time. What we focused on instead is we wanted to find a topographical type map or these type of lines, have it in the same color, and then use a frame. A limitation that we know exists with frames is that it can only really have images and not SVGs that we've edited. So to alleviate this, what we did is we went over to a brand new Canva. We found an SVG that we could edit and get to the color we wanted, shaped it, and you could do this with, if you wanted to add more elements, of course, like it doesn't have to be just a background. You know, you could do anything inside of the shape and then download it as an image and then upload that image, and you can now manipulate it as an image in your design. So we came here, created it, downloaded it as an image, we uploaded it. Put that into our shape, and then to recreate the button, the curved outline, we took a shape that was about close as far as a frame and then added shapes around it that were the same color as the background to make it hide from the back. So a lot of trickery going on here to retrieve a bit of the same effect from the inspiration design we'd found today. but I'm really happy with the shape and the topographical and the beautiful colors from the designer. That was a really stunning design he'd come up with. So I hope you picked up a couple tricks there, and it's never always going to be easy, but there tends to be a way if you're tenacious enough, and that's one of the best parts about Canva. So until next time, cheers to your great looking work.